the main church that they started there in Juarez, and Esperanza is the name of the church there. And Sunday we were there was actually their 27th anniversary of that church being there in Juarez. And Brother Pete, we have so many stories that we heard and from everyone, not just the Raymonds, that it would take the whole morning just to tell all the stories. But Esperanza was started 27 years ago in a house there in Juarez, and the first person that was saved under that ministry was a lady in her 90s there in Juarez. But God has completely blessed the Raymonds and the ministry there. Today, that church is actually pastored by the gentleman's name is Alfredo, Pastor Alfredo. He is from Juarez. He pastors the church, and he's pastored the church for many years already. But from that church, they have, I think, 6 other churches in Juarez that have come out of that church. They have a children's home that is there in Juarez. That is a ministry that came out of that church. They have missionaries that they send out from that church to other parts of Mexico. Actually, Pastor Alfredo has 3 sons, 2 of which are pastors. One of his sons is actually a pastor who came to the U.S. and is now a pastor in Wisconsin, I think. He's a pastor up in Wisconsin. Their other son is a pastor of one of the other churches there in Juarez and the director of the children's home. And it was just neat to see the way when you surrender to God's calling and you set up the church and you teach and disciple and train the people there, how much the ministry will be blessed and how much it will grow. Brother Pete and his wife were telling us, God has blessed us so much that if they close the border today, or if God forbid we got sick and couldn't be on the mission field anymore, that church would not only continue on, but it would grow and continue developing. They have a Bible Institute where many of the young men will go through the institute. Once they graduate from there, they then intern at one of the churches there in Juarez for a while, and once they are called by God or stuff, they'll go, and they're the ones who go out and become missionaries or start another church in another area. And it's just a continuation of, the people there in Juarez are the ones, sharing with everyone else. They have visitation, they have a youth group, a very active youth group, and it was just such an amazing time just being there, and we had a lot of fun. And to be honest, a lot of people have asked, you were in Juarez, weren't you afraid? And to be honest, I really was never afraid. I never felt like we were in any kind of danger or anything, and I even drove around a little bit. Sophie and I, we drove around. I think she was a little nervous, but we had such a great time, and many of the people there from the church and everywhere else were just such loving and caring people, and we just built such a good relationship with the people there. And Sophie sang, and they all loved her, and it was just such an amazing time. It was just I know Sophie wants to share about the children's home, but we got to go out to the children's home, which houses right now 32 children, and they have enough space to add another 32 children, and they're really praying, and because right now, to be honest, the Raymonds give half of their support to the children's home because the children's home doesn't get the support it needs to run off of just what it gets right now. But there are many churches there all throughout Mexico that send support directly to the children's home. And they've had to deal with a lot of stuff with the city and with the government and all that and getting going, but they have such a beautiful facility. It's way out in I think it was on the southwestern side of Juarez. Once you drive around, you kind of lose direction. You're just like, well, I'll follow him. I guess that's where we go. But we went way out there, and the children's home, I mean, obviously for security reasons, everything's gated, and it almost looked like we were going into a compound. But once you get inside, you just see they have dormitories over here, they have a big kitchen, a big gym, they have housing for Pastor Mickey, who is the director, for him and his family, and then they have 2 other families that also have housing there in the facility because they help out and stuff. And the kids there were just so amazing, just so many kids, and hearing just like a tiny fraction of stories from different kids, where their home lives, what they came out of, is just you just want to cry. And we're not even hearing everything, and they're really pushing for the next 32 children that they get be complete orphans. Right now, the kids they have are not all orphans. They actually go home to their homes on the weekend, but it makes it difficult for them because they spend the whole week teaching and working with them. They go home to these terrible environments, and then it's like they have the next week, Monday, they got to reteach and train the kids every week. So it's not real easy for them just to get these kids and to train them up, and as we would think it would be here, someplace like here. But it's just an amazing work, and just amazing to see the people. We got to sit under the preaching of Brother Raymond. He preached that Sunday morning. Brother Mickey preached that Sunday night. And then we got to hear Pastor Alfredo preach on Wednesday night. And though my Spanish is limited, I was actually really, it was really such passionate and powerful preaching that, it was just such a blessing to be there and to experience all that, and to get to do that with my daughter was even more of a blessing. And we had such a good time together, and it was just, we thank God for the opportunity, and it's just really pray for the Raymonds, and pray for their ministry, for the ministry there, and pray for Mrs. Raymond. She's going through some cancer. She's on oxygen. She's got to do oxygen treatment every day, and she hasn't been able to go back to Mexico because of the oxygen tank she carries with her. She can't get it across the border. And if she did, she wouldn't be able to get it back across the border. So they ordered a new one for her that she can take to and from. But you could just hear when we were at her home talking to her, you can just hear, her love for the people. Like this morning, my dad was talking about a Sunday school. Before we went on the mission field as missionaries in Arizona, the director of our mission board told my dad, don't go if you can't love these people. And when you talk to the Raymonds, these are 2 people from New York State, and they, you think, how can you get any further from Mexico? But they're just love and passion for these people. When Brother Raymond took us over to Mexico, these people love the Raymonds, and the Raymonds love these people, and they just are, you just see it, and you see that. And even Brother Raymond said he talked to another missionary who did not do so well when they were there, when that missionary was there, and he had told him, he's like, if you can't love these people, you don't need to be here. And it's the truth. If you can't love them like you would love your own children or your spouse or anything, then you can't. The ministry won't ever prosper. The ministry won't ever grow. And I'm going to let Sophie share what she felt just real quick. So.
It was a great pleasure to go to the church, and everyone was so helpful there. And the children's home, I just wanted to take all the kids. It was a great pleasure for singing at the church and singing at the children's home. So, thank you.